fact that council is not tearing up a perfectly good road.
What is,
Evergreen Hill Road.
pardon?
Is she comfortable with our decision not to tear up that road?
Through the mayor to council, I quite enjoy my time working here at Norfolk County, so I'm going to refrain from answering that question. We take our instructions from council and we carry out those instructions, and if that's what council has instructed us to do, then we're happy to do that.
This is
Thank you.
rare, this is rare that a counselor or council is worried about how our staff feels. Anything else on roads? Waste management is next. We're almost finished with Public Works. Page 4-127 are the numbers. The explanations are on 4-126. I see 0.3% decrease in waste management. Any comment before we get into questions? Lee, any comments? No, you'll take some questions. Councillor Oliver, then Black.
Very much, Mr. Mayor. I have two questions on the background information. First, on page 4-125, Lee, I'm looking at the annual tonnage of recyclables, and I realize that number for 2017 is just to the 1st of December, but it's a serious drop from the previous 2 years. Is there any particular explanation for it? I hope our people are still supporting the Blue Box program as much as ever.
Through the mayor to council, although that is our value as of December 1st, the number is actually probably 2 months behind.
Okay.
We are not forecasting any significant drop this year.
Thank you very much for that. And my other question, Mr. Mayor, relates to 4-126. And I realize this is our year in 2018 for our bulky item pickup. But the text there shows a one-time item of $237,000, which I presume is all levy, for the bulky item pickup. I recall we put money away each and every year over a 3-year cycle to pay for the bulky item pickup so that it doesn't impact the year when it happens as significantly as that number might suggest. Am I missing something, or are we not in fact doing that?
Through the mayor to finance, that was my understanding, yes, through the mayor to council. I'm going to defer that one to finance because that was my understanding as well.
Through the mayor to council, the bulky item we do put, I believe it's 100. I just can't get it up right now, but I do believe it from recollection that it's $100,000 we put towards make a contribution to the contingency reserve on an annual basis. So then the third year that we withdraw from the contingency reserve the funds that we have set aside for it.
Kathy, that's my understanding too. Then my hope is that what says is a $237,000 levy hit this year is in fact something less than that. And if that's not the case, then I gather the contract this year is $447,000 or $437,000. You understand what I'm saying, I hope. So have we overlooked the fact that we have 200 grand since the last one we did was in 2015? And assuming we put our 100,000 per year, we've got a couple of 100,000 in a special contingency that could be applied against this cost, I hope.
Through the mayor to council, I apologize. That may be the fault of Public Works, the way we phrased it here. It's a one-time item. This was to draw attention to the fact that it was going to come in the 2018 budget. This was not the actual full hit that was in the budget. That was to show we have historically put approximately 100,000, I believe, away on an annual basis. This year with the new contract that we tendered, we included it, and we're actually seeing the estimated costs come down as a result of the new contract that we tendered. Typically we'd seen it in the 300,000 range, and we're now closer to 250. So we're hopeful that that will continue on a going forward basis. So this was to draw attention to this is the year for it, not that it's totally hitting the budget. I apologize, it's the way we worded it in this document.
So as far as you're concerned, with finance's consent, you have somewhere else in this budget taken out 200,000 out of reserves, and it's showing as a revenue source on that part of the ledger?
That's correct.
Well, that's too bad.
Oh, that was a good try.
Thank you.
It's an excellent try. Councillor Black?
Mr. Mayor, through you to Lee. Yeah, my question was on the bulky item as well. I've had lots of questions whether it's happening this year in 2018, and it is, but do we have a date? Do we have any dates established yet, or roughly a month?
Through the mayor to council, we try not to advertise that there's a date set for it until council actually approves the budget for it.
Okay.
But it's typically in May/June, so it will be late spring.
All right, that's good enough. And secondly, just on your challenges, ongoing services, level impacts of waste collection at condominiums, have you established any costs on that yet?
Through the mayor to council, at this point, we don't have sufficient information to do that. It's only been a few months, and we haven't had the majority of them request it until very recently when they were redoing. A lot of them had existing contracts in place, and so instead of terminating them, they were waiting for them to expire before they avail themselves of our services.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions? Councillor Height?
Thank you, Mayor Luke. Through you to Public Works, it says here on page 126, it says here, continued implementation of the solid waste management master plan. I have emails going back to 2016 on this one. Are we ever going to get there from here?
The solid waste master plan, that was created quite a few years ago. So that project is done. I believe you're talking about a waste reduction study.
No, that was something different. I have your email in front of me, and it says that the solid waste master plan is due for an update, and we have included that in the budget.
Yes.
Was that done,
sorry.
and how come we haven't seen it?
I've just started to see drafts of them, so I would expect that they'll be before council in the spring this year.
Okay, and then a waste reduction plan?
I also have that draft, and we will be seeing that in the spring this year as well.
Okay, thank you. This
Anything
spring,
else?
right? This spring.
Sorry.
Yes, this spring, the spring of 2018.
Thank you.
Anything else on this waste management? Councillor Oliver?
Mr. Mayor, sorry to ask a second question here, but
Fine.
Lee, I did question you when we were discussing the new budget initiatives around the extra weeks of leaf and yard waste, and you explained to us what was described as a net savings of $26,700. And yet on page 126 here, I'm seeing reference to, as an expense item, the additional weeks at a cost of $51,300. So again, please explain to me the difference between those two numbers, or how we combine them for this new budget initiative.
Absolutely. So I guess it's a little bit difficult to see how it all plays out in here, just the way the numbers are being presented, because the new budget initiative showed the net benefit,
Yes.
and this is just showing it as the
Gross expense.
yes, exactly.
Okay. So the bottom line still is that we're going to be $26,700 better off
That is
by
correct.
doing this.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Okay. Any other questions on this? $7 million budget and a $23,000 net levy reduction. That's good work. What I am going to do is suggest we have a 10-minute break. Been going since 12:35. At 20 after 2, we will get set for the library budget. 12 minutes. Thank you.
On a strip of sandy soil lies a county called Norfolk. It's Ontario's south coast, you know, and it's surely not remote. If you pass through or spend a day or decide to call it home, you'll see why we love it here and are proud to call it our own. Norfolk Take in the small town atmosphere, be amazed at all that we grow. Like our kids that go and see the world and can't wait to return home. Drop a line in a placid lake or stroll along the shore. Take a tour on a peaceful country road and bound to be back for more. Of Norfolk, Norfolk, my Southern County home. Norfolk, Norfolk, we know you can't go wrong with the friendly folk of Norfolk. You won't be a stranger long. With hard work we built a dream that only willing hands could do. It's on display at our fall fairs and at all the festivals too. Erie beaches, Carolinian forests, where the flower and dogwoods bloom. Patchwork fields and rolling hills, it's just the place for you. Norfolk, Norfolk, a Southern County home. Norfolk, Norfolk, we know you can't go wrong with the friendly folk of Norfolk. You won't be a stranger long. Norfolk, 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 you won't be a stranger long. On a strip of sandy soil lies a county called Norfolk. It's Ontario's south coast, you know, and it's surely not remote. If you pass through or spend a day or decide to call it home, you'll see why we love it here and are proud to call it our own. Norfolk, Norfolk, a Southern County home. Norfolk, Norfolk, we know you can't go wrong with the friendly folk of Norfolk. You won't be a stranger long. Take in the small town atmosphere, be amazed at all that we grow. Like our kids that go and see the world and can't wait to return home. Drop a line in a placid lake or stroll along the shore. Take a tour on a peaceful country road and bound to be back for more. Of Norfolk, Norfolk, my Southern County home. Norfolk, Norfolk, we know you can't go wrong with the friendly folk of Norfolk. You won't be a stranger long. With hard work we built a dream that only willing hands could do. It's on display at our fall fairs and at all the festivals too. Erie beaches, Carolinian forests, where the flower and dogwoods bloom. Patchwork fields and rolling hills, it's just the place for you. Norfolk, Norfolk, a Southern County home. Norfolk, Norfolk, we know you can't go wrong with the friendly folk of Norfolk. On a strip of sandy soil lies a county called Norfolk. It's Ontario, south coast, you know, and it's surely not remote. If you pass through or spend a day or decide to call it home, you'll see why we love it here and are proud to call it our own. Norfolk, Norfolk, a southern county home. Norfolk, Norfolk, we know you can't go wrong with the friendly folk of Norfolk. You won't be a stranger long. Take in the small town atmosphere, be amazed at all that we grow. Like our kids that go and see the world and can't wait to return home. Drop a line in a placid lake or stroll along the shore. Take a tour on a peaceful country road and bound to be back for more. Of Norfolk, Norfolk, my southern county home. Norfolk, Norfolk, we know you can't go wrong with the friendly folk of Norfolk. You won't be a stranger long. With hard work we built a dream that only willing hands could do. It's on display at our fall fairs and at all the festivals too. Erie beaches, Carolinian forests, where the flower and dogwoods bloom. Patchwork fields and rolling hills, it's just the place for you. Norfolk, Norfolk, a southern county home. Norfolk, Norfolk, we know you can't go wrong with the friendly folk of Norfolk. You won't be a stranger long. Norfolk, 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 you won't be a stranger long. On a strip of sandy soil lies a county called Norfolk. It's Ontario, south coast, you know, and it's surely not remote. If you pass through or spend a day or decide to call it home, you'll see why we love it here and are proud to call it our own. Norfolk, Norfolk, a southern county home. Norfolk, Norfolk, we know you can't go wrong with the friendly folk of Norfolk. You won't be a stranger long. Take in the small town atmosphere, be amazed at all that we grow. Like our kids that go and see the world and can't wait to return home. Drop a line in a placid lake or stroll along the shore. Take a tour on a peaceful country road and bound to be back for more. Of Norfolk, Norfolk, my southern county home. Norfolk, Norfolk, we know you can't go wrong with the friendly folk of Norfolk. You won't be a stranger long. hard work, we built a dream that only willing hands could do. It's on display at our fall fairs and at all the festivals too. Erie beaches, Carolinian forests, where the flower and dogwoods bloom. Patchwork fields and rolling hills, it's just the place for you. Norfolk, Norfolk,
Folks,
the
thank you.
southern county home. Norfolk.
Okay, let's get back to business here. I am now on requisitions from boards and agencies. I'm going to just jump over the Grand River and LPRCA and go to the Norfolk and the police services and go to the Norfolk County Public Library. I see seated is the chair of the library board, Mr. Morrison. Welcome, Tom. And of course, the CEO of the library is Heather King. And just before I get to you, somebody's waving at me. I forgot you, James. Go ahead, sir. Thanks for reminding me.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I just wanted to bring everybody's attention to the screen on the wall, and for those watching, that currently where we're standing as far as our levy increase is 6.5%, and that equals, if you take the education change in the education rate as well as growth, that equates for the average homeowner a 2.8% increase in their levy, or $74.65 a year, or if you break that down by month, that's $6.22 a month.
Thank you very much for that. Okay. I'm on page 4-128. We did receive a handout. I'll have a look at that. And to get us started, if Heather, you or Tom wish to make a few comments on what's proposed here, I'll turn it over to you, Mr. Morrison. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Once again, we're pleased to be here in front of you to discuss our 2018 operating budget for the Norfolk County Public Library. With us today, we have members of our Finance Committee, Mr. Mike Boslaw and Mr. Jerry Cott. Also with us today is Councillor Peter Black. He also serves on our Finance Committee. 2017 was an awesome year for the library, to say the least. When I look back at my time with the library board, it's been since the spring of the year 2000. We've had many challenges and met every expectation and challenge along the way. One meeting that I had over the years that stands out to me was in the basement of the old Port Dover Library. And Councillor Wells and I had a chat one afternoon. We had a difficult time with the library board then. And Mr. Wells, in a nice fatherly way, said to me, I could either stay and be part of a solution or take off and run like a dog. And I was very pleased that I stayed. And 2017 was one of those years that we realized the solution, and I was very pleased and proud of it, you know. And if I didn't listen to you then, John, I wouldn't have enjoyed it, wouldn't have had the experience. As I look back at 2017, we met and exceeded every expectation that we wanted as a board. whether it was with our partners with Norfolk Remembers, or the income tax clinics that we run, or our new partnership now with the Dolly Parton Innovation Library. We reach out to every sector of this county. Most people, when they come into the county and come into the library, the face that they see at the library is the only person that they see from the county, and I'm very pleased and proud of the people that we have that serve you folks at the library. As we grow and continue to grow, the needs and expectations of our patrons are many, as are our needs and expectations of you folks. That's reflected in this budget this year. You'll see that the major ask that we have is under technology and social media position. That shows the growth in the needs of the library, the computer needs, the technology needs. I can't explain too much of that. I have a hard enough time running my cell phone, so I can't really comprehend the needs. It exceeds me. It's a celebration for us that we have grown this much. And as we celebrate on Saturday, which is Family Literacy Day, we cut the ribbon on our new Delhi Library, which has been a long time coming, to meet the needs and put a nice mark on the map of Delhi. I know Mr. Columbus and I had fought for that for a long time, and it's, again, a celebration for all of us. So as I turn things over to Mrs. King, I want you to remember that the needs that the library has reflect the needs that the people are asking us for. And we're very pleased with what we do. We don't come hat in hand looking for money in any ignorant way. We're a very responsible board. We're a very responsible staff. And we thank you again for your continued support, and we look forward to seeing you in Delhi on Saturday. Thank you. I'll turn things over to Mrs. King.
Thank you, Ms. King.
Thank you. I wanted to start off with some good news in relationship to the reserve fund, which is in arrears for the library board. But in 2016, we did have an operating surplus of $47,000. So this was the beginning of our surplus that has been added to that reserve fund, which will now reduce it to below $200,000. And hopefully this is a trend that we're going to be seeing in the future. In 2017, we are anticipating a break-even year, maybe having a little surplus. We're just being optimistic but cautious at the same time. So in the next couple months, we'll know that number for sure. But we are hoping that another surplus will be put towards that reserve fund. Now that we've completed the fundraising activities for the Delhi branch, the NCPL board is considering creating a fundraising plan to aid in the elimination of the reserve fund deficit. It was one of the things that we talked about at our last board meeting, possibly a legacy project for this board going into the future. I've handed out two pieces of information for you to review. The one is the stats that have been compiled for 2017, and our numbers are still in good standing. We did take a little hit with some of our circulation and attendance figures, but we can attribute that to only really operating 4 library branches. Delhi did have a small space that provided basic services for the residents of Delhi, but it did leave those patrons wanting, and our circulation numbers there and patron stats did lower throughout 2017. So we're hoping for a rebound in 2018. Since the new branch has been opened November 1st, we have doubled the number of people that attend the library. So we are growing from 100 on average per day to 200 per day. So I think that's a really good indication. It kind of supports the slogan, build it and they will come. And now we are ramping up to provide full services at that library branch. Also in your package is a timely article from Maclean's magazine, just published this month. It's called Coding 3D Printers and Books. It describes the largest library systems in Canada and what their daily service levels look like. On a smaller scale, these same descriptions can be applied to the Norfolk County Public Library system. We are balancing technology advances with book lending. We are serving as community hubs for a variety of social service agencies. Public libraries do aspire to provide opportunities for all citizens to keep pace with our changing world, and one area that we need financial support in is to provide a dedicated budget for technology and social media library assistant. This position is quite varied. It's kind of more than what the job title indicates. It requires a library technician background along with computer service and communication skills. The person will also have to have knowledge of digital devices and products that are trending. And technology is constantly changing, so it will take a person that has the initiative to keep up. The person will also be a teacher and an instructor of how to use technology to populations that are considered to be part of the digital divide, covering basic skills such as how to use email, using a cell phone, how to complete forms online, how to take courses online, maybe even how to use photography and film features on computers and phones. The position will also serve as a coach and a trainer to the library staff, helping them to help solve technology problems that our library patrons bring to their attention. Many of the patrons that we are serving with technology issues are seniors. The position will also take the lead on the makerspace programs and facilities that are set up in our branches, researching new products, purchasing items, training staff and library patrons on how to use the various equipment offered. In the past 6 months, since the makerspace programs have been launched, over 300 people have used the equipment and space for personal projects. Another 300 people have been involved in programs offered with the equipment. This is a growth area for libraries. To be able to encourage STEM learning, which is science, technology, engineering, and math, explorations, and the equipment and the instructor are both important assets. The position will also troubleshoot and fix any technology that is designated for public use versus staff use. A decrease in the transfer payment from the IT department will occur. $10,000 has been budgeted, which represents about 5 hours per week. The IT department is still a very important partner in providing computer equipment and services to the library staff, but their focus is upon Norfolk staff supported items, not Norfolk library patrons. That covers the technology portion of the position. There is also a social media component. The position will be the lead for creating and monitoring social media tools and messages that the library uses to promote services and events. Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram are our current outlets. To be a successful social media marketer, it requires a person to manage the messages that are being sent, determine what demographic is our target group, and to also respond to inquiries and comments. The job will also assist with keeping our website current with activity postings and online resources and promotions. So as is outlined in the new budget initiative, the cost of this position is estimated at $80,500. It might seem like a staggering amount. However, when you break it down, I believe it is more like an entry-level position into technology. The entry-level rate of pay would be $28 per hour, and then the benefit package is added on top of that. So I wanted to take the time to really explain what this position entails and all the benefits that it would bring to the library, and that the Financial Committee, who is with us here today, has spent a lot of time looking at the rest of our budget and how we could decrease other areas so that we could come to you with a 3.5% increase of $92,900. The other items that are mentioned in the description basically are things that are kind of beyond our control. Some of the things relate directly to the new Delhi branch being opened. Double the space most likely will mean double the utility cost. Other things that we are trying to manage and have some control over, we have reduced our contracted services by eliminating the contract for janitorial service, but then on the other hand, we've replaced those amounts under our salaries, so it's kind of a break-even situation. We have also reduced the number of capital projects that we're taking on. One project in particular is a new accessible washroom for the Simcoe branch, and it will have 100% corresponding revenue to support it. Some of the other projects mentioned under capital and minor capital projects include smaller items like an increased larger drop box for the Port Dover branch and computer and chair replacements for some of our other branches. In addressing this new position, I also wanted to ensure to you that it is a position that will serve all the branches throughout the Norfolk County Public Library system. Even though the person would be positioned in Simcoe, it would definitely allow travel to all the other branches, and we are currently developing workshops to take place there as well. So I'll let you read through the other overviews, and if you have any questions about the proposed budget, I or Casey Whitwell, who is our administrative assistant, will be able to answer them for you.
Thank you very much, and certainly open it to council members for any questions on the library budget. Councillor Oliver, please.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and thank you, Heather. I apologize to board members and staff for having my back to you, but just so I've got my notes in front of me here. On the new budget initiative item that I think we were given yesterday for your position, Heather, it references total cost for the salaries and benefits of $80,500, and yet in the text around our main budget drivers in the big binder, it talks about $73,400. First of all, can you explain that discrepancy to me? Which is the accurate figure for the salary and benefits for the year?
I would call upon finance to identify the discrepancy.
Through the mayor to council. I'll just just got to go back to my binder and have a look, but I believe it was just at the time the overview wasn't updated, and we updated the new budget initiative. And the overview wasn't updated at that time, but I will double check that.
Other question to you, Heather, on this position at this point. I see, and again, I'm looking at the NBI dated January the 10th. This is the one we got, 3.6B, and you've accounted for annualization for this year. In other words, a $7,100 reduction in the cost for 2018. We are now at the end of January, so in other words, 1/12 of the year. Have you, I presume you haven't started recruiting yet, or what will be the likely earliest hire date, best case scenario for you?
It's anticipated that we wouldn't have a person in place until the beginning of April.
Okay, so in other words, the first quarter, in other words, of the year. So we've got perhaps more than we need allocated in 2018 for this position. Do you think that's a fair statement based on the new budget initiative sheet?
If we delayed the hiring until April, then yes, we would not need the amount that has been stated.
Okay. And again, Mr. Mayor, I realize I'm kind of talking nickels and dimes here, but the NBI sheet identified a $7,100 reduction as to what's needed. I think if we went till April before this position is filled, you could probably at least double that, if not triple it. So in other words, we could be looking between 15 and 20,000 that could be reduced from the levy request and still be fully supportive of this position. I guess I'm searching if that's sort of accurate math.
That,
Well, I would anticipate the adjustment was $7,100, so that would be the guideline for each month that we did not hire.
Councillor Height, please.
Thank you, Mayor Luke. Through you to Heather, how do you come up with that salary? Did you do any market research whatsoever?
The salary is based on a grid that exists in the library system currently. So the job description was graded by all the different categories that any new job goes through, and it came out at a level 4, and that's the basic beginning salary for a level 4 employee.
So is that a management position for 80K?
No, it is not.
Really, because, like, I don't know, like, you can look and see the actual market for that, and I see Algonquin College, Sheridan College, they're both looking at those positions, and they pay $40,000 to $43,000.
I believe the position is expanded because we are looking for not just a technician, not just a fixer, but a person to also teach and to coach and to educate. They'll be leading us in what to purchase. So it's much more involved than just a person that will fix technology.
Which is social media specialist.
As well as a technology specialist.
Right, so I guess when I look at it that way, in Norfolk County, we have an IT division, which is underserviced as it is now. They could use a person. And I'm wondering if the library couldn't just get some of their social media stuff done through one of our local businesses for what they need done, and have IT hire somebody who is badly needed right now for the whole business. I feel it's a waste. You have 4 branches and 5 branches, and you're going to have one person there doing social media. Like, it's not really a full-time job. We have a full-time IT department that needs more people, really.
The percentage of social media that this person would be doing is about 10% of the job. The rest of it is based on technology.
As in break-fix stuff?
No, as well as helping to troubleshoot things that are broken, that are public access based. So our IT department still comes and fixes things that belong to the staff and that they need to operate. But all of our public access computers, anything that we have in the makerspace, is not really covered under the contract that we have currently with IT. So this person will be helping to do those items, as well as doing all of the teaching. So all the workshops that we have, anyone that walks into our library, they can book an appointment for half an hour at a time, and IT is not in that profession to be able to come to the library and do that kind of instruction for us.
Right, so I'm not sure, are you trying to compete with private business when it comes to teaching computers? Is that what you're trying to do here?
It's been a long-standing practice that libraries will offer basic support. So if you wanted to go and learn how to run an Excel program or something more advanced, then you would need to take a course. This is just for someone who receives a new e-reader, for example, or has a brand new phone and can't figure out some of the new features on it, what an app is, all those kinds of things. They're really easy, kind of short lessons that a library staff person can assist them with.
But then, like, why wouldn't you have somebody local come in and teach the course instead of hiring someone to sit there full-time to do that, waiting for people to come in and say, I have a problem with my phone or my computer? Like, there's businesses out there, they buy a piece of equipment, there's warranty, there's tech support, but it seems to me here you want to be everything to some people.
Well, in the past, libraries have offered that services to predominantly senior populations who aren't the type of people that would go and take a course or go to another professional service. And it's just something that has been offered throughout the public library system for, I would imagine, the past 10 years. When technology is being introduced, it's just funding that has been available to us to be able to provide that service.
Okay, and what other municipalities that are close to us offer that service? Does Oxford, Brantford, Haldeman?
All public libraries across Ontario offer that service.
With a full-time position?
I can't tell you if they have a full-time position or not, but their library staff are expected to be able to provide those services.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Further questions? Okay, oh, Councillor Brunton?
Mayor Luke, I was doing some calculating there. Through you to Heather. Heather, the couple of questions on your 3D room you built down there in the Simcoe Library. Can you tell me, what did that cost? Was that in last year's budget, to build that whole structure and put the thing into operation?
It was in last year's budget, and we spent around $10,000 in total.
Okay, and how do you monitor the use of that facility? Can you tell me, do you keep track of who comes in, who goes out? How many people would use that?
I indicated that we had over 300 people using the room.
Okay.
And then another 300 people attended different sessions. So how we monitor that is they get a swipe card at the registration desk or the circulation desk to be able to gain access to the room. And part of that is they undergo some training so that we can ensure that they know how to use the equipment properly. And then if they need a staff person to assist them, then that is arranged as well.
Okay, and is there an operating cost to that on it? Like, do you supply the material or the, I frequent the library. I like to read the papers in there at times, but I go by it and I see little things that have been made. I'm just wondering who supplies the material for all that?
We do charge for the materials. It's
Okay.
10 cents a gram. Or if you're using vinyl lettering equipment, there's a fee for that as well. So it's a cost recovery basis for us.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Oliver?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I think most of us, if not all of us, are supportive of the position, but I'm going to move a motion that we reduce the levy request increase for the library board for this year by $14,000, and that simply reflects 2 more months' worth of salary and benefit costs for the new position. I support the position. I think it is time. I remember last year, I think they had something similar in the budget and we took it out. So I hope we do leave it in, but I feel we can make that reduction without impacting proceeding with this position. So if there's a seconder, that's my motion, a $14,000 reduction.
I'm looking for a seconder on the motion so we can discuss it. Councillor Geisens has seconded the motion by Councillor Oliver to reduce the overall budget by $14,000. I'll start with Columbus and Black and Brunton, please.
Yes, I'd like to, Heather, does that impact, are you in support of that? I know you'd like the 14 in, but can you live with it? Let's put it that way.
There would still be sufficient funds to create the position if we could start in April.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Black.
That was my question.
Okay, good. Mr. Brunton?
Yeah, just on that, did I see an ad recently in the paper for some other staffing in the library? Was there something in the newspaper recently?
Not that I'm aware of.
Okay, thank you.
Any further discussion on the motion? Hearing none, those in support of the motion? One, again, please. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Those opposed? It's 4. The motion is carried. Anything further on the library budget? Councillor Wells.
Just like to make a statement, if that would be all right, Mr. Mayor.
Oh, absolutely.
First of all, I was on the library board for the city of Nanticoke, and I've now been on the library board for Norfolk County. And I just want to thank Ms. King for her wonderful leadership. Certainly, I have watched in the time that I've been on that library board from the library growing into a place where people want to be And it's mainly because of your leadership and the new programs that you're always offering. Even though I don't like the idea that we are spending more money, it is money, I think, that is being well spent. And for you and your staff, I thank you.
Well, thank you for those positive comments.
Anything else on the library board budget before us? Hearing none, I would just say thank you, Tom, Heather, Casey, Mike, Jerry. I'm just giving them some time to exit. And I also want to remind you again, as you heard, the official opening for the renovated and new addition to the Delhi Public Library is this Saturday at 2:00 p.m. And certainly like to see anyone that can attend. Now I'd like to deal with the balance on page 4-128. The LPRCA has a 5.9% proposed percentage increase. Grand River, a decrease of 0.3%, and our police services looking for 1.1%. Councillor Wells, on those, any of those items?
Yes, if I could just ask the new chair of the Long Point Conservation Authority to speak to why they are asking for this increase, please.
Yes, Mr. Mayor. We had discussed this a couple weeks ago at this same table, remember? And the 5.9% represents $56,300 budget increase. And it's primarily for the student wage increase of $2.40 some an hour over what was previously paid students. And there are a number of students hired during the summer at the LPRCA. The other thing is infrastructure upgrades to the campgrounds, badly needed for hydro and water upgrades, bringing the services from 15 amp to 30 amp and even higher. And lastly, evaluation of dams and reservoirs, of which most, probably 85–90% of those are in Norfolk County. That's what it is. Councilor Wells.
Thank you, and Councillor Black?
Mr. Mayor, thank you, and through you to the new chairman of the LPRCA, and just wondered if there might be a small reduction in the 5.9% increase for gapping purposes, looking at a vacancy for the new GM.
I can tell you that this budget was approved unanimously by all the watershed partners at the table a week or two ago at the January meeting. It was approved, and there's been no discussion on where we're going with gapping.
So there could be that possibility, though.
I don't think so.
No. Okay, and just wondered if there, Mr. Mayor, through you to the new chair, if there's any update on the MNR letter that they're supposed to have some discussions with them. I wondered is that information coming back to council anytime soon?
This was part of your
The motion, yeah.
Right, that was Ministry of Municipal Affairs, I believe. Right.
Right.
We did have a meeting with the Ministry of Municipal Affairs back on December 21st, I believe it was, right? And we met with them, and it was just a informal discussion at a meeting, indicating where they stood, where we stood, and indicating that we should be working more closely together.
So regarding the provincial policy statement?
Right.
Right, okay. So, and was there agreement on that from the authority, or resistance to it?
No, there was no, it was just a meeting of minds. It was not anything to do with an agreement. There was no motion passed or anything of that nature.
Okay, well, I'll be interested to see how the future unfolds there.
Okay, thank you.
Anything further, Councillor Wells?
and they're asking, I guess it's $16 million, I'll get my glasses here, $16 million, and they're asking for a 1.8% increase. Now, I know that's a lot larger number, obviously, but if you look at percentage-wise, 1.8 is a pretty, when you consider what we have been asked to deal with in these pages, that's pretty good. Thank you.
Yeah, the police services line it's a 12.2 ask, and it is a 1.1. So like you say, it's in line, I believe. And we know that all costs are going up, they're not going down. Anything else on other agencies? Okay, we'll leave that. Now, what I tend to do, since we're through all of our tabs, I intend at this time to proceed in this fashion. I would like to, before I do it, I'll tell you what my intent is to recess Norfolk County budget and go back to the Board of Health to wrap up the business of the Board of Health as it pertains to the health unit operating net levy budget, and do the confirming bylaw so that we can then move back, and I'm sure we have a few more things that we will be discussing before we wrap up Norfolk County. So if I don't hear any objection to that, go ahead, Councillor Oliver.
Mr. Mayor, I think I have this clear now, but on page 5.5 at the very end of our big binder document.
Yes.
Is a sheet that is titled 2018 Approved Levy-Funded Capital Projects Identified by SLT for Deferral or Removal. That's a mouthful. But when I read that, this is the very last page of your big binder, 5.5. Bottom line, $282,000. Now, I thought when I read that title that that was money that is in the budget, but that staff have identified as potentially removable should we decide we need to do it. I think I was told by the treasurer yesterday morning, or by Kathy, that that $282,000 is not in the draft budget that we've been dealing with. Can I get that clarified, please, for sure?
Through you, Mr. Mayor, to Councillor Oliver, that $282,000 is in the budget.
Is in the budget.
However, we have $150,000 that is in your list in front of you on your monitors that would go towards this list now that we're not doing the Evergreen sidewalk. So we would use that $150,000 to fund some of these projects on this list, and the result would be $132,000 left as a levy impact for these capital items. Through you, Mr. Mayor, that would be correct.
Okay. No, I appreciate that. I knew there were a few sheets back here, and certainly we'll get a chance to go back to anything when I get to the final episode of our budget here on Norfolk County. So having said that, there's nothing else. I will recess our Norfolk County Budget Council meeting, and we will now reconvene in the Board of Health. Meeting from yesterday. Yes, go ahead, Andy.